Happy Thanksgiving. So, you know how I'll jump on here sometimes and just start to talk about things, and hopefully I'll do a good job. So, I am going to attempt to solve all your problems in case you get into political discussions at Thanksgiving and it leads to problems in relationships. Okay, I'm going to try to do this right now. So, I have been, well, let me start this way. Okay, you know how some people, they're just real laid back, easygoing, and other people are sort of always driven and they're go-getters and they're always so motivated with whatever they're doing. And you know how, like, say, some people love to watch sports. Some people love to play sports. Some people, they couldn't care less about watching or playing sports. You know how, like, some people, they understand all kinds of things about math. They're really good with mathematics. And there are other people who, not a clue. You cannot, there's no way you can explain certain math things to them. Their mind doesn't work that way. You know, is there something that you found in your life where your mind just doesn't work that way? You don't get it. Well, okay, I'm listening to this audiobook called The Molecule of More, M-O-R-E. Like more or less, that kind of more. I'll put a link to it at the beginning of this post. So apparently, people have different kinds of brains. Some of this is genetic. Some of it is influenced by environment. Some of it is influenced by their surroundings, the people and situations that they're brought up in. Sometimes they have genes for certain tendencies, but those genes may or may not be sort of turned on. Certain things turn the genes on. Anyway, it's real complex stuff, and the scientists are in an ongoing way investigating this. Well, it turns out that a lot of research has been done into ways that your brain reacts, hormones that it secretes, electrical signals that it sends. And people who are liberal, their brains work a certain way. And people who are conservative, their brains work in other ways. And there are, just like with anything, there can be advantages and disadvantages. Well, I know that for me, there are certain things that relate to politics, and I, totally believe a certain thing, cannot understand how some other people cannot see my point of view. What's wrong with them? But you know what? Nothing's wrong with them. Their brain is just wired to perceive things differently and for things to strike them differently. I'll give you this example. And if you are a parent of a child, of course, if you're a parent, it's of a child. Okay. This is, Facebook Live. This is how it is. Sometimes we say stupid things. They just roll so easily off the tongue. Anyway, so if you're a parent, and if you have more than one child, or maybe you've observed parents, when they have that first child, they're just, kind of hyper about everything. There's most first parents, what kind of cry is that? Oh my gosh, be careful. We have to put, those safe sockets on every place in the house. And, they kind of go overboard because this is a new experience for them. And then, you have somebody who's a parent of 3, 4, 5 or more kids. And, the walls could be shaking and, things falling over and crashing. And they're just real laid back about it. The kids are hollering and they say, "Is anybody bleeding?" The mom says, "No." "All right, fine." They just get a lot more relaxed about everything. Well, it's a different way of thinking, a different way of perceiving life based on different experiences. And also, it has to do with how their brains are wired, sort of hardwired too. So what I want to say is, if somebody is for letting in everybody in the whole world to the United States and somebody else is for building a wall, you know what? Neither of you are crazy. Neither of you are wrong. You just have different ways of seeing things. Allow that. Allow people to think what they're going to think. Something that's very interesting is that Albert Einstein was very concerned about humanity. He cared very much for humanity. But he didn't particularly like having to spend time with individual persons. Isn't that interesting? And imagine, something like that would affect one's political views, wouldn't it? If you're concerned about, the people out there, but when it comes to you and me, or the reverse, if you're very concerned about doing things for individuals, but looking at, a broad segment of people, that's just not how you see things. Anyway, what I'm trying, you're probably listening to this and thinking, well, I know this is what I believe. I know I'm right. I'll allow you to believe what you believe is right. Allow me to believe what I believe is right. If somebody sucks you into an argument over your Thanksgiving dinner, take a breath, and you know what? Think in terms of, I am hearing them out. I'm allowing them to express their views. I'm not going to argue. And don't let them bait you into an argument. In my family, we used to say, when my kids were adults and we would gather for Thanksgiving, or Christmas or whatever, and I'd say, okay, no religion and no politics. Unfortunately, not everybody would agree to that, and sooner or later somebody was marching off in a huff. But, if you possibly can, realize that if someone believes differently than you, it's very likely that you won't be able to understand why that is. But just allow it. When I used to teach school, math was a subject, that is particularly difficult for a lot of people. And let's say there might be somebody, okay, I got some pipe cleaners here. They could say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 pipe cleaners. I've got 2 blues, 2 greens. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Something like that. They just see it. But you know what? There are other people who, if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, and I say, okay, what's another way to make 4? They don't see 2 plus 2 or 2 times 2, or 1 times 4. It doesn't make sense in their heads. Now, and I'm serious, even on a simple level like that, that's not how they perceive things. Their brain works a different way. Does it mean they're stupid? No. Does it mean they're wrong, that they're not seeing it the way I'm describing it? No. Let's allow one another to live with the brains that the good Lord gave us. And if somebody thinks differently, I know I always enjoy hearing what someone has to say who thinks differently, who sees it differently than I do, because that may give me some insight into how I'm seeing things or help me to understand them. I hope you have a happy, healthy, peaceful Thanksgiving Day today. God bless you.